Welcome to the Get Buckets podcast, sponsored by The Color Yellow and Age of Empires 3 on Mac, the old game re-sweeping the nation that almost anyone can play. Kyle, how have you been the last few weeks?
Nathan, I've been great. I've been a little busy. Intramural season down here at Baylor's in full swing. Got softball coming up. We are the two-time defending champions of the Division I Intramural Softball League at Baylor University. We're looking to three-peat this year. Been doing some scouting, some recruiting, some signing, some managerial interviews. I've been good.
So you're feeling confident about the season?
No, I never actually feel confident about the season because last year we won our last four games by a total of 4 runs, including 2 that went into extra innings. So it could really go either way.
Who's starting at second base?
Kyle Crawford.
Stud. Guess he's starting at second base for the Prison City Crabs.
Nathan Harvey.
Yeah.
Come on.
Second base. Oh, getting buckets on that. Okay. We didn't fill out a bracket this year on the podcast, but that's because the games are so exciting, and you can't possibly predict the Final Four that we have, right?
2 people did out of like 5.9 million, but yes, 2 people did.
That's just dumb. There's no way.
They're the people that have like 8 different email accounts and made 80 different brackets. So we might as well not even count those.
Like, I know when I sat down, I had Butler, the play-in game, Virginia Commonwealth, UConn, and Kentucky in my Final Four. Like, how can you even... You know what I want to do? I want to take VCU to the Final Four. We didn't even know if they were going to beat USC.
I mean, I had Old Dominion beating Butler.
As did I.
I had VCU losing whoever they were scheduled to play in the first round.
Georgetown.
Yes, when I found out that Georgetown, who was hurt?
Chris Wright.
Yes, when I found out he was healthy, I felt inclined to pick Georgetown, and that kicked me in the butt.
As did I.
I had Kentucky losing to West Virginia and not even making it to the Sweet 16. And I had UConn losing to Duke in the Elite Eight.
Butler arguably should have been out in the first round if it wasn't for a miracle. Horrendous offensive possession and then a miracle tip in. But, I mean, that's how they've gotten by. They've gotten by on buzzer beaters and close games. I think every one of their games has been close except that
Purdue game.
Purdue game.
And Purdue, I mean, they let Purdue back in the game and still had to ice it at the end. It was still an entertaining, good game.
Who would you label as the favorite of those 4 teams?
Well, if you look at the 4 teams, I think you almost have to label UConn the favorite for a couple different reasons. One is they haven't lost in, 9 games now?
Mm-hmm.
They've won 9 straight. They haven't lost in tournament play all year. And they are the highest seed remaining at a 3. So numerically, it's kind of hard to argue that they're the favorite.
I'll go with Kentucky just to not agree with you. I think they might be playing the best out of any of those teams. And they actually, I think, beat the best team in Ohio State. And they beat them pretty soundly. They're getting contribution from everyone they need to. They have probably my favorite white player left in Josh Harrelson. So I like Kentucky.
How can he be your favorite white player left? That's absurd. He's an idiot.
Who is your favorite white player left?
I've got to say Matt Howard, just because he was supposed to be their guy last year. Going into the season last year for Butler, all the hype was on Matt Howard. And Gordon Hayward stole the show from him. He stole the show and ran away with it. And now Howard's getting his chance to shine.
Yeah, I'll still go with Harrelson, who's going to kill Howard if they go against each other.
They're not. It's going to be UConn and VCU. Not really, but seriously.
Butler VCU. I don't even know what to think about that game. I'm just excited they're both there.
Well, they're both teams that make a living on always being around at the end of the game. So anything can happen. I would put money on the fact that with under a minute to go, it'll be less than a 5 point game. The way both of these teams play is to be around at the end of the game. At least in this tournament setting, that's the way it seemed.
Okay.
And that's what I see happening.
Who wins it all?
It's really, really hard to pick against Butler. So I'm going to take Butler.
Okay. I'm not taking anybody. Just
You have to take somebody. You have to.
just gonna watch
Take somebody.
Kentucky,
Okay, thank you for taking somebody.
but I'll probably root for Butler. Yeah, I don't know.
I respect that.
Usually I get into the game and then someone draws a charge or something and I hate it, and then I'll get really upset about it and start rooting for the other team.
Right.
I hate
In
charges.
true Nathan fashion.
Yeah.
I don't like charges, but I understand why the charge is in place. I just wish that there was a more effective way of differentiating between a block and a charge. Because there are way too many guys that can get away with flops. Matt Howard is a great flopper. Probably the best in America at this point. But there needs to be the charge rule also, in my opinion.
It's getting too difficult to differentiate who's flopping and who's not. Like, I mean, it seems easy to look at it and like, oh, that's a flop, but you can't call everything a block because there's legitimate charges out there. And I'm just like, the one I'm really tired of is when someone's getting posted up and then the guy, as soon as he's in the middle of that dribble, he gets really close to him. So the next time he lowers his shoulder, the guy just tanks. Like, that's not a charge. Stand your ground. Don't just jump up in the air and then fall over. It's ridiculous.
I think the most frustrating charge in my mind is when a guard is penetrating, whether it's on a fast break or in the half court offense, and he leaves his feet, as he has a much right to do, to go up for a layup or a dunk or whatever he's going for, and the defender slides under him.
Mm-hmm.
I think referees are terrible at distinguishing, was this kid's feet already set when he took off? Because they almost never are. And I think that maybe if you could change the rule to something along the lines of, if you're not 100% sure that it was a charge, it was a block.
It's not bad. It's still kind of some of the same problems. But, I mean, there's no great way to fix it. That's why I just want to make the lane a no-charge zone, open up the lane, tell people to stop sliding in, either go for the block or he gets a layup.
Well,
and everyone has the same advantages.
You say make the lane a no-charge zone.
Yeah.
But I feel like in the case of your least favorite charge call, when a post player is backing his defender down, oftentimes that happens outside of the lane.
Oh, definitely. But those are the ones that just upset me the most. But the majority of charges are taken in the lane. And so if I want to eliminate them, I'm going to go for the majority.
What if college just initiated the NBA charge rule, the no charge zone?
It's not just a college problem. It's a basketball problem. Like, I think if you opened it in the NBA, especially, because the NBA has the athletes to go up and block shots at the rim. Like, you're either going to see dunks or you're going to see shots blocked at the rim. You're not going to see people leaving their feet for dunks like Dwayne Wade and have like little tiny guards like Aaron Brooks slide under them and take a charge. It's going to be action at the rim, which I think is exciting to watch. And it's going to be a lot more posters, guaranteed.
You go tell that to Dr. Naismith. See what he says.
Yeah, well, Dr. Naismith's still playing with peach baskets, so I'll let you go talk to him.
Will do.
Let's move on to the NBA Western Conference playoff race, which is not looking good if you're a Rockets fan. Because the Grizzlies keep winning games they're not supposed to. And it's going to be tough. So we'll start with the Blazers, who is not near impossible for them to fall out of the playoffs, but it's kind of impossible. They have 9 games left, with their next 4 against the Spurs, the Hornets, the Thunder, and the Mavs, which easily they could go 0-4 in. and 6 of their 9 are against playoff teams. I just don't see them falling that far from the 6th seed all the way out.
Um, Excuse me for my limited Western Conference basketball playoff knowledge. How many games would they have to fall? How many games ahead of the ninth spot are they?
3.5.
Okay. Um, well, if you look at it, the Thunder beat them last night.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you can assume they're going to lose three of the next four because they are playing better teams, with the exception of the Hornets. So there's three games right there. Granted, the Rockets have to play the Spurs, Hawks, Hornets, and Mavs, according to the information sheet you've given me.
But my biggest, I mean, it's not a problem. I just don't think the Blazers are going to lose 3 games in that stretch. The Spurs have played awful of late. We all know the Hornets aren't that good, but maybe they'll, I mean, that'll be a toss up. And Oklahoma City and Dallas are home games for the Blazers, where they seem to play well. So, do you really think they'll lose 3 of those?
I really do think they'll lose three of those. I have no way of knowing that, just like I have no way of knowing what's going to happen in the NCAA tournament.
Right.
But I think that the Blazers will lose three of those four games, in my unprofessional opinion.
It's pretty professional here.
Yes, it's professional, in my professional opinion.
Okay. Then we got the Hornets, who have 8 games left, and none of them are easy. They're all against either playoff teams or teams that have more than 25 wins. So, do you see the Hornets, who without David West, making the playoffs?
I mean, yes, I do. And honestly, I think the teams that are locked into playoff spots right now are going to end up being playoff teams. Um, I think that the Grizzlies are going to be a nightmare matchup for whoever they end up playing in the first round of the playoffs, especially if they can somehow if they can move in and get the Mavs somehow. But I'm not actually sure if that's possible for them to do.
I don't see why not. 6, 7, and 8. I mean, 6, 7, 8, and 9 are all within 3 games of each other. So I don't see why they couldn't get into the 7 seed, right? Or
Well,
6 seed.
is it seeded that way, or is it seeded where the Spurs and Mavs can't be the 1 and 2 seeds based on their division?
That's a great question. We obviously don't know the answer.
I blame this on Nathan because he's our resident NBA expert. I'm more of a college guy here.
That's true, but I'm not exactly certain on what division, how that all works. If you win the division, okay, isn't it if you have the division winners automatically get the home court?
Okay, is that all? Is that what it is?
I might be making that up, to be honest. It just sounded good in my head, so I said it out loud.
Well, the good news is we have a little bit of time to actually figure this out, and it doesn't actually matter. We can inform the people on this issue next week, because the playoffs will not have started by the next time we podcast.
Nah. Stupid.
So blame this on Nathan's Luke Walton-esque abilities, and we'll go from there.
You can blame it on my Luke Walton-esque abilities. But we kind of talked about the Grizzlies, who, if they were going to fall, I feel like this last 2 weeks was when they were going to do it. When they had games at Boston and against San Antonio. And now they only have 8 games left, and only 3 of them are playoff teams. But I don't think this team is out of the possibility of losing random games because they don't have a star to be like, hey, carry us.
I can agree with that, and I can see where you're coming from. And I would say that the 4 teams that we're talking about here, the Blazers, Hornets, Grizzlies, and Rockets, none of them are out of the realm of losing random games. That's why they are where they are.
Right.
Is because they have lost the random games. So yeah, I could absolutely see the Grizzlies going 6-2, and I could see the Grizzlies going 3-5 or 2-6.
Ooh, it's rough.
Only time will tell.
I really want the Rockets in the playoffs, but it's
probably
gonna be
has
tough.
something to do with the fact that you're a Rockets fan.
No, no, no.
Yeah, you're probably right. It doesn't have anything to do with that. Um, if out of the four teams left here that we're speaking of, I would love to see the Hornets in the playoffs because I love Chris Paul, but they're not who they were with David West out with the torn ACL.
I agree.
I think that the team that can make the most noise out of the four teams that we're talking about, it's either going to be the Blazers or the Grizzlies. Probably the Blazers because I feel like the Blazers are super talented.
Yeah, because they stole Gerald Wallace for nothing. Like,
Yeah.
they're a really good team. If Brandon Roy stops hobbling around, they can be really good. Uh, who would they play? As of right now, they'd play OKC, right?
Yeah. Not a great matchup for them, but it's a series which you could conceivably see them winning four games in.
Maybe. I think they'd have a legitimate shot against like Dallas or the Spurs, which they're not going to get, but they could probably beat Dallas. Dallas
Well,
doesn't scare me. They never scare me in the playoffs.
Dallas has done that to themselves. I think Dallas doesn't scare you in the playoffs like Rick Barnes in the University of Texas basketball team doesn't scare me in the NCAA tournament.
Okay.
I mean, I dislike UT to start with. I think you probably don't like the Mavericks.
No.
And they have history of underperforming in the playoffs or the NCAA tournament in Texas' case. They've both had recent success relatively. The Mavs went to the NBA Finals. UT ended up in the Final Four. But they're also very prone to early exits.
Yeah, I agree with all that. That was great.
Yes. I'm awesome.
You are awesome. What are we going to talk
Making
about
good
now?
points. You know, we can talk about how on my Facebook wall, and this is basketball related, so I'm not completely going off here. On my Facebook wall, Jake Patterson and Michael Goldstein have taken to leaving me lots of video comments. Most recently, they found YouTube clips of one Luke Walton. Uh, in one of these video clips, Luke Walton is playing. It's last year's playoff series against the Thunder, and it's at OKC. And who knew that Phil Jackson would play Luke Walton in the playoffs? But that's beside the point. Luke Walton went up to get a rebound and kind of got undercut and just about died on the court, which would have been awesome.
Hmm.
The other clip, the one that Jake left me, was I don't remember who he was in the backcourt with. It was one of the Lakers' big men, and I honestly don't know when it was. But the big man tried to hand the ball. They were a couple feet away, and it was kind of like a handoff little pass. And Luke Walton somehow, kind of almost a volleyball, set the ball into the air, into his own basket, scoring 2 points for the other team. The other team being the Rockets. I don't know if you recall that.
No, I do not.
But it's just great to talk about Luke Walton and how bad he is on the podcast.
That may be the longest we've ever talked about him.
It's probably
lengthy.
It's probably the longest that anyone has ever talked about him.
Well, there was last week when he was trending on Twitter.
Right, and which is really also humorous because he was trending for all the wrong reasons.
I thought he was trending because we talked about him.
Yes, but that's not a good reason to be trending when we just bash on someone. Okay, he was trending because Phil Jackson put him in and the Lakers inexplicably collapsed. And because we talk about him weekly.
Are you a Star Wars fan?
I've never seen Star Wars.
Gosh. I thought Joey Butita was the only one that hadn't seen that.
Well, Joey follows me on Twitter now, so
Joey,
I guess
we watched
tweet
episode
about it.
1 yesterday. We're making our way through all 6.
I saw part of a Star Wars
Part of a
one time, and it was very difficult. And I know I came in the middle of it, and there's a whole story behind it. But it was really funny to see what used to be cool in the realm of special effects and how real things looked. And then, like, I go from watching modern day movies to seeing Star Wars, and I laughed at it, to be completely honest.
Oh, that's rough. Okay. Well, Maybe one of these days we'll get you to watch it. Maybe. I don't know how.
I think I'm supposed to give it a
This
try this
summer you are?
summer.
There's 6 of
Yeah.
them. I hope you know that.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do know that. I'm also supposed to give the Lord of the Rings trilogy a
Those aren't
try.
bad. I've seen those. They're not memorable, but they got some good jokes and things that you can use, like saying you're going to Mordor.
I I usually don't fall in line with all like the trendy movies that people are like, "Oh man, Star Wars was like the best series ever," or Lord of the Rings. I've seen all the Harry Potter movies though, but I refuse to read the books. So I'm still kind of fighting that trend in my own
So, are
way.
you a Twilight fan?
Um, no, I'm not. I'm not a Justin Bieber
What?
fan.
Kidding.
I've heard his movie's really good though.
I heard
I
girls
think he's
cried.
uh,
Like, I don't know why, but
he's apparently a really
is he
strong
really?
Christian, which yeah, which I've decided that if I'm gonna hate him, I'm gonna have to blindly hate him and not see his movie and use that as fuel to
Right.
the fire because it will change
Right.
my opinion. So I blindly hate Justin Bieber. What else do I hate? Luke Walton. Yeah, those are the things that I hate for the most part.
Things we love. Jimmer.
J- Jimmer, we love Jimmer. Which
Yeah,
let's
we need to
let's
talk
go
about
on
that for a
Jimmer.
little bit.
Let's go on. It was
It
a great
was.
run. I think that the game turns out differently if they have Davies. I think their entire seeding turns out differently if they have him. I don't think they have the same path to get anywhere if they have him. Um, I've never been one to criticize Jimmer, but I think his shot selection was iffy in the game against Florida because he was so cold early, and then he did a wonderful job of getting to the basket and scoring. And then once he got a three to go, it was as if he couldn't get to the basket and score anymore.
He just played so bad. Like, and he still scored like a lot, but he didn't play well. I guess if that was your first Jimmer game, turn on a TV and watch, like you could not. I mean, you might be impressed with some of the shots, but he played awful offensively. Except what did he shoot? 7 of 29 or something like that. Except the 7 or 9
Yeah,
shots that went in, he played pretty bad. He was instead of like when he would get that double team off the pick and roll, he would just wait till the guy went away. He wasn't, I guess, giving it up really quickly so that his other teammates could attack. He was just kind of chilling with the ball, running down the shot clock, and then trying to make something happen, which against Florida probably doesn't work all that well. I was
I would agree with you, and I will also say that I think we should talk about the Jimmer on a lighter note since we won't get to see him play college
Which
basketball
saddens
ever
me
again.
greatly.
Uh, he had I had more fun watching the Jimmer play than I've ever had watching a
I
college
agree with
basketball
that
player play.
100%. He's the most exciting college basketball player I've ever seen.
Steph Curry was
Steph
close,
Curry, I guess, didn't have the buzz. I don't know. I think it's probably because he doesn't have one
right?
name and he doesn't come from a school that's like, think about what BYU is doing. Like, it's tough. It's got to be tough to win games when your recruiting base is limited to like a fifth of the country. Like, what is the Mormon population of
Yeah,
our
I mean, if
country?
if that, it's I mean, I would
Like
guess it's not
that's
even a
like
fifth,
that's
but it's
nuts
limited.
that you can compete on that high a level, and that kind of just shows that how good Jimmer is that he's not carrying them, but he's carrying all those players that probably weren't getting looks elsewhere, and so they go to BYU.
Yeah, Jimmer gave me hope as a basketball player. Not that I'll ever play college basketball, but if you want an image of how I play intramural basketball, imagine the way that Jimmer plays college basketball. And think about the onions that it takes for him to take a three from 8 feet behind the line in a game that's on national TV in which he has a chance to move on to the Elite Eight. I have a lot of respect for the fact that he does that because it's tough enough to take a three from 8 feet behind the line in intramurals.
Goes to BYU, Kyle Collinsworth. His 10. Here comes Jimmer. Long range.
Are you kidding me?
He's got his J back, folks, and the eye of the Tiger. 4:56 to play. We're tied at 56.
I mean, you were just so sure that when he hit that, it was BYU's game.
You had to think that. Pulling up from that deep and it's not like he hadn't done it like 30 times before during the game. It was just kind of the momentum swing, down 3, like, here we go, Jimmer pull up for the tie. He just buries it.
It was like he had finally woken up, and that 3 was going to spark the rest of his game. When in reality, I don't think he had the energy. We know he doesn't exert himself at the defensive end. He didn't throughout this entire season, and with very good reason, because the other 4 guys on his team were not capable enough to get their own looks to score offensively without Jimmer. So he had to conserve himself defensively, where he could play as hard as he possibly could every time he touched the ball. And once the NCAA tournament rolled around, you could kind of tell he was playing a little bit tougher on the defensive end. And I think that really wore him down, especially in this game against Florida, with a couple of quick guards, with the fact that BYU wasn't in the zone for a lot of that game.
I don't even know why we're still talking about this because it was like a week ago. No.
It's because we love
analyzing the game. The biggest problem I had was they just didn't hit shots. I mean, you're not going to win a game if you don't hit shots. And then they got into overtime, and they just didn't have it. They were just gassed.
Well, I mean, Jimmer played the entire game. And I don't know that everyone expected him to still be as fresh in minute 44 as he was in minute 1. And that's just completely unrealistic, no matter who you are. I mean, unless you're me. And it just wasn't there once they got to overtime. Jimmer didn't have the energy, and without Jimmer, BYU is at best average.
I think if we can all look back, the play that I really thought that this is like not good for BYU was when they had that chance and they went kind of 2 for 1 and they couldn't get the defensive rebound when Florida took that shot with 7 seconds left or something. So
there was plenty of time
Jimmer
left.
never got that chance to win the game. The last second shot kind of thing.
And you knew, I think I tweeted that it's going to come down to Jimmer. And I don't know that he would have made it, but my love for Jimmer tells me
there's no doubt in my mind that shot's going in if he shoots it. Just because of the charisma around
it. And it really, really hurt. That broke BYU's back when Jimmer didn't even get a shot.
And then they started overtime like in a 4-point hole and just never got it back. That's Jimmer. Now he moves on to pros.
Other things that we love?
Not a lot.
We really don't love much. Cordolari.
Who's golfing right now. Good luck to him.
Darius Miles.
We love cell phones that go off during the middle of the podcast.
Well, do we love the fact that it was Blake? We both love intramural sports.
Yeah, kind of.
Which, in all reality, is my segue to saying that I have to leave because I have a game in 19
Good luck
minutes.
in your playoff game.
Thank you. I'll report back how it went.
We'll talk about it next week.
Hey, Harv.
Yeah.
Love you.
Love you too.
See you, Buckets. Buckets Nation? See you, Buckets Nation.
All right. Bye.
Thanks.
And that is Kyle signing off. he's gone. So we'll hopefully be back next week with a better look at the championship game, and it'll be that night, and so we won't actually get to talk about it. We'll talk about the NBA playoffs some more, and we may talk about polo. All right. Have a great week. Love you guys.